black smoke rising straight up. And I thought, huh, that's structure. So I went ahead and pulled over because I didn't see any emergency vehicles there yet. So I pulled over, and sure enough, there were no emergency vehicles. As a matter of fact, a guy had just pounded on the door and gotten the homeowner to open it as I was rolling up, and the guy had no idea his house was on fire because it was on the side opposite the garage. So it was fully engulfed. Like, there were flames shooting a good 15, 20 feet in the air from the sides of the house. So luckily they had a garden hose right there. So we got the garden hose, and luckily I have very long arms. So I was able to reach over the 7-foot gate and unlock it, which was really warm. It was because the fire was in the entire side yard. I mean, it caught their wooden storage shed on fire, everything. So it was definitely busy. So we worked on knocking the fire down until the fire department got there, which didn't take too long. Maybe 4 or 5 minutes. That's about it. And so yeah, it was very interesting. I did find out that they don't just use water, because I was in the side yard when they rolled up and turned on the hose to make sure that we'd knocked down everything. Yeah, that's a lot of water. I was kind of shocked too, because it was hot, but it's been sitting in the fire truck for however long, so it's going to be the temperature of the outside. So anyway, it was interesting. Unfortunately for them, when we stopped, I noticed as I looked up that the eaves, there was smoke coming out from underneath the eaves, which means that the attic of their house had also caught on fire. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. So yeah, it was not a good day for them, but could have been a lot worse. The house was saved. There was some fire damage. The cars, their cars didn't get destroyed. Whatever was in their wooden storage shed on their side yard was. If there's anything left in there, it doesn't smell good. Yeah, they didn't even know their house was on fire. That's the good news, is that when I got there, look, when you see that kind of smoke coming up from a house, and it was a good 4 blocks down from my street, but there's no fire truck, and that's way too much, and it's the wrong color. So I knew right away, like, the shit's hitting the fan at somebody's house. So as soon as I pulled up, there was another guy who had just gotten there as well, another neighbor. So we handled it, put the fire out, except for the fire that was going in the attic. We knocked down everything, and it was funny because I was like, where did this start? The guy that standing next to me was like, I don't know, man. It looks like it started right here. And I said, you think it started with these puddles? Those puddles were their huge trash cans. Yeah, the city trash cans were actually puddles of green and blue goo, completely gone. So yeah, it was interesting, but 15 minutes felt good. Got to do something that matters. And you'd be shocked, man. Just a little thing like that makes you feel pretty good. That's all it takes, is just a little bit of doing something good every day, and you feel pretty good about yourself. All right, let's see what's going on out there. I know that silver's just not doing really much of anything right now, which is fine. I'd rather have that than have it, dropping. Oh yeah, talking about toxic. Oh yeah. Yeah, my eyes were brilliant red all night. It literally, and I smelled like burnt garbage. Yeah, it was not a good smell. All right, let's see. 60. Oh, wait, what? That doesn't make sense. 62. It says silver's up 2% already on the day, which is Globex. It's a global trading exchange. But I could have sworn I just saw it down by like 10 cents, which, yeah, I mean, 10 cents doesn't mean anything, but that's really interesting. Huh. Okay. Well, I'm okay with that. I do not mind when silver does well. All right, let's see what APMEX says that the spot price is. They always find a way to make it very interesting. Okay, yeah, something's fucking nuts. 62.83. I thought it was 63.20 all weekend. Well, what do you know? All right, so let's take a look at the rest of the market, because I have got a very bad feeling about what's about to happen in the market. Yeah, oil was fine. S&P 500 index was flat. Dow Jones was actually did very well. It was up 1.1%, 600 points. That's a good chunk. And the NASDAQ was down by almost 500 points. At some point, somebody's going to ask, how long can a market bubble continue when the companies that are holding it up, like the quote unquote Magnificent Seven, when those companies really don't make much and their PE ratios are stupidly out of line? Now, I know I looked at this before, but I imagine a good PE ratio would be Google. Let's see. Key stats. $27. Okay. Price to earnings ratio, 27. Okay. It's not my favorite, but it's not bad. For a company that earns a lot of money, that's survivable. Let's see. How about let's go with something old. Microsoft. They've been around forever. Let's see what their PE ratio is. I would hope it would be a little bit more realistic. Yeah, 22. Okay. So their price to earnings ratio is 22.8. So now we're getting a little bit more realistic. AMD. AMD's been around for a while, and they seem to make good. Holy shit. See, this is what I'm talking about, guys. 177. Are you shitting me? The price to earnings ratio is 177. That is, let me put it to you this way. This is how old I am, okay? I'm gonna admit to how ancient I am. When Nextel went public, I remember them hitting the NASDAQ, and everybody was like, Oh, shit. Their PE ratio's 52. In case you just tuned in, the price to earnings ratio on AMD right now is 177.5. What? You bet. Yep, Liberty Bell, the Liberty Bell coins are going to be $19,000. Let's check, because remember the other day, initially it was 1,942 calls on December gold at 20,000, which is just completely insane. That means somebody's pissing away enough to buy 1,942 calls. Well, the other night on the live stream, before I got booted off for saying the R word, I checked again, and it was up to 11,000 calls. That's $8.5 million worth of options on something that is so far out of the money that if you had a telescope, you couldn't fucking see it. Like, that's insanity. It's totally crazy. So let's see where we're at. Although we should be at the same place, because I think the only day I missed was Friday. How many calls on December gold at 20,000 are there right now? What? What the fuck is going on? There's no way. There's no fucking way. We just checked this. I mean, you guys were on here with me. You guys were literally on here with me the other night. And I said, oh, there's not 1,942. There's 11,000 open contracts. There are 30,000. It says there are roughly 30,000 open contracts. This doesn't make any sense. What is going on here? Oh, that's easy. What's causing the extreme fluctuation in gas prices? That would be some of the greediest son of a bitches that have ever walked the face of the earth, deciding that baby needs a new polo pony. And since Junior flunked out of school, they're probably going to have to buy a new building at Harvard in order to get him put through without actually having to do any work. That's why. Because the people who run oil companies, all of the executives in oil companies literally are in a cartel worldwide. And the whole joke is, sure, we get this shit out of the ground for $15 to $18, but we're going to sell it for 60 to 100. We'll pump it up to 120 if we can. Why? Well, because we can. Why? Because you don't have any choice. There's a lot of different oil companies. Yeah, but there's no other oil. See, that's the problem. If I could say, hey, you know what? Screw you. I'm tired of this. I'm not running my car on oil anymore. I'm switching it over to vinegar. Okay, well, then now we'd have a competing market. Yeah, oil or vinegar. But we don't have that. We have one single commodity. And whoever controls that commodity controls your life. Period. That's it. Yeah, I mean, look, when there are huge bombs being dropped everywhere, then yeah, you can go ahead and blame it on the war. Fair enough. But right now, you can't blame it on the war. But they will anyway. All right. Let's see. Open interest in December $20,000. COMEX gold calls jumped by another 515 contracts, bringing the total to 28,212. It Jesus Christ. What? Wow, I had no idea. There's 25,000 calls at 15,000. Okay, guys. Well, you don't have to call me for gold and silver, but I think it's a good idea. And by the way, in case you're wondering, let me turn this around. Boom. In case you're wondering, Suzanne, I'm outstanding. Let's see. Let's go that way just a little bit. That is my number over my shoulder. And what's this? What's this look like to you? Where do you see yourself going with your silver? I would sell until 25% of it at 300. I'd sell another 50% of it at 600, and then I got to keep the rest. You have to keep some silver. You have to have it because it's not something that you use to make money on. Although in this market, I wouldn't buy housing, and I certainly wouldn't buy into the stock market. What could you buy in the stock market that you're sure will make money? That's an issue because people are pushing back really hard against everything that's going on with AI. Nobody wants AI. Nobody wants this shit going on in their backyard. Nobody wants data centers. When they announced that part of this Stargate project that Trump did was going to be a data center in the UAE that was larger than Central Park and used the same amount of electricity as the city of Miami? What? Come on, guys. What are you doing here? What are you really doing? 5,000 AI data centers right now. And they say they need 5,300. And they say they need 3,000 more ASAP. That amount of computing power makes no sense. None. It doesn't make any sense to anyone. There's no way to justify that from the standpoint of surveilling every single human being. That's okay. You could do that with the amount of data centers we have now. Okay, so there's something else. Well, what is it? Well, it's just we want to make AI smarter. Oh, that's a thing. You have to understand they've been building data centers for a long time. No, if gold goes to 10,000, we would probably see more like $250 to $300 silver. Because you have to understand, if gold goes that high that fast because of a reset, what will happen is the wealthy will buy some gold. The average to upper middle class people will buy a shitload of silver because they're like, oh, look, silver always goes farther than gold as far as percentages. So if gold goes up by 150%, you can expect silver to go up by 250 or 300%. So it would be doing a lot better. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are stopping data centers, man. They're really getting tired of them. Well, that's the thing. Is that my signed book One of them is, Charles. Yes, absolutely. Um, yeah, there is no next generation solid state electric vehicle. That was a complete bullshit scam. The whole idea of all of that is just ridiculous. Literally nobody wants it. I don't want it. Look, when I drive to one of my wholesalers in Salt Lake City from Phoenix, I can drive an electric car. When I drive to San Diego and back in a day, a hybrid, sure, I'll take a hybrid, absolutely. And I don't know if you know this or not, but some of the fastest cars on Earth are hybrids now. They're terrifyingly fast. So yeah, I'm cool with a hybrid, but fully electric, not interested. Um, USA 200 and Colorado is almost 50% dried up. Um, well, I can tell you this: when it comes to no water, we are just a few feet away, as you know, from having a completely dead reservoir. And so, if Lake Mead does get to that point where Hoover Dam actually stops generating electricity, um, we're gonna have we're gonna have some real issues. And one of the real issues that we're gonna have is if you cut out all of the hydroelectric that the Colorado River generates throughout all the states, what you have next is a deficit that is so big that if you tried to pull from other systems, pull electricity from farther away, you will overload the system and literally make my book a reality by ourselves without any like intervention from another country, no EMP, no solar flare. We are dangerously close to making this happen for all of the Western United States. And potentially, because we're all interlinked, the Eastern and Western interconnect, which is the entire country except for Texas, could easily go down. Easily. That's it. Now, if the Western interconnect goes down, which is all the Western states, basically from I believe it's the Mississippi over, if all of those states go down, with the exception of Texas, at that point, anyone who considers themselves an enemy of our country would have access to shut off the other half almost instantaneously without anybody ever being able to prove who it was. That is a terrifying thought. Now, again, granted, that's only the United States. So if only the United States lost all of its electrical power from coast to coast, all the way up and down, that would, of course, include Canada. We would destroy their system instantly on accident. And if that's the case, then, yeah, would other countries jump right in to help us? I'm sure. I'm sure China would love to send a couple 100,000 people over here as aid workers to help us rebuild our economy, knowing that by the time any kind of even slightly effective, even tiny amount of effective aid got here, about 90% of the population of the United States would already be dead, according to the DoD. According to the Department of War now, DOW, we will lose 90% of our population in under a year. So then why would you promote that smart EV technology? Well, I don't. I mean, why would the government do it? Because you have to. You have to play this game. I mean, Trump is as anti-environmentalist as any president's ever been. But you can't just say none of this matters if you're the government. You have to play along, because if you start to balk at things like, well, what's the point in even rebuilding the grid? People are going to start wondering, like, well, why aren't you interested in that? That's something that we have to do. Now, as the government, I know as somebody who's been studying it for a dozen years, any electrical engineer who you talk to who pays attention to the grid at all will tell you, yes, the grid is at risk of imminent failure right now for no fucking reason whatsoever. No reason whatsoever. A hot fucking day, a cold winter, doesn't matter. There's so many things that can push us over the edge. And yes, data centers are definitely there. This guy, this idiot Shark Tank guy is planning on putting an enormous data center in northern Utah. Are you shitting me? Well, we're going to build nukes. Oh, you're going to build nuclear reactors to power this data center? Absolutely. We're not going to steal water from the locals. You're not. How long does it take to bring a nuclear reactor online? Does anybody even ask that question yet? No. I said I would buy a hybrid. And a hybrid has a gas engine. And the gas engine is used to charge up the battery. So I don't have to stop in the middle of nowhere if I run out of juice and pray to God somebody comes along with a 10,000 foot long charger. Don't have to do that. Now, thorium's never going to get here. That's just a fact. We don't have that long. When you read these reports, and again, nobody does this, but the reason I wrote a fucking book is not because I have the patience to write a book. I do not have the patience to write a book, but I had to write this book. And the reason I had to write this book is because I do not want to see good people die for no reason. There's not going to be any thorium. We are so close to a grid down situation right now for no reason that if the slightest reason comes along, like, oh, I don't know, they expect that Hoover Dam may be completely and totally useless by August. What month is it? Well, that can't be good, right? August. So we're in a very, very dangerous position right now, and most people don't realize it. If the grid goes down and you live in Phoenix, you're screwed. Like, you're done. I literally, look, the barrel there, that blue barrel behind me. You see that blue barrel? That is a water barrel. It's a 55-gallon water barrel. Now, that one has lots of friends out on my back porch. And the reason I do that is not because I want to drink 6-month-old stale water someday. It's because in the wintertime, if something goes wrong, which I don't expect, but you can never be sure. If that happens, then getting out of Phoenix, since I live in the very far north end of it, is not that difficult. If it happens in the middle of summertime, I would be willing to bet that all of the people that I need to move with me, that I need to help get out of here, wouldn't make it. Therefore, we have to wait. Now, is waiting dangerous? Not really. Not in this situation. If you wait a week and then try to leave wherever you are in a major city, there's a good chance you won't make it. And the reason is, if you're walking along with, I don't know, something crazy like a bunch of food on a trailer or in a cart, like imagine a baby carriage, that sort of thing. Anybody that sees you that's desperate might do something desperate. It's kind of it's what starving people are famous for. Oh, I do have my mouse. Okay. Well, let's see. You can't bug out after an EMP unless it's on foot. But you can. You can't bug out from a major downtown area. And the reason you can't bug out from a major downtown area, let's see, what's that? Hold on, I'll get back to that. Let's see. Magnetic field is not blocking out solar flares like it should be. That's because of the north and south poles flipping. I know, on top of all the shit that's going on, what are the odds that we have a fucking pole reversal where the North Pole and the South Pole are literally flipping? And, people, when I say that to people, they're like, what? What are you talking about? Poles don't flip. Yeah. Yeah, they do. And they don't do it often. They do it every several thousand years. But guess what? We're in the middle of one. And they used to think that a pole reversal would take anywhere upwards of 1,000 years. And some students at, I believe it was Stanford, realized, hey, this could happen in one human lifetime. Like this could take less than 100 years. Well, the pole reversal started in 1859. Yeah, the same year as that enormous solar flare. Well, that's weird. Was it just a coincidence? It's hard to say. But the Carrington event and being an X40 and the poles beginning to reverse at the same time, we're looking into it. That's all we could say at this point. Nobody can answer that completely. But we can say that, hey, it's a hell of a coincidence and there might be more to it. Stay tuned. It's nature, whatever. Well, I hope that I hope you're making that sort of dismissive comment from your very well stocked cabin in Idaho. Because if you're saying that from a major city, brother, you need to pull your head completely out of your ass because you are not going to survive that. When they say that 90% of the people in the United States, when the congressional committee said that 90+% of the people in the United States will be dead in less than a year, do you think that they mean people that live in Montana on a ranch? No. Do you think that they mean somebody who lives in Fargo on the outskirts? No. They mean people who live in New York, New Jersey, Chicago, Miami, Houston, Dallas, places like LA, San Francisco, Portland, and Washington, and Seattle. I mean, Seattle, Tacoma, that whole area. It's like these people have no idea how to survive. And because of the fact that the estimates are, and this is the last study that was done. See, the problem is that none of these studies that are being done about the grid going down, none of them have been made public yet. There are only a few that slip out after 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And the ones that are really complete, I don't know where they are. Nobody knows where they are. We can't find anything. It's like when something comes out like the 2008 congressional report that says 90% of the population will die if this happens, and then nobody does anything about it. And when the experts who built the whole fucking electrical grid say it is in grave danger, like it is absolutely within the tolerances of failure for no reason, give it a reason and it's gone. When they say things like that, and then the government doesn't react at all, it makes me wonder. Well, Jesus, John, if you could have a pre-2000 vehicle parked in a Faraday cage with an extra ECU, yeah, I mean, that's awesome. But bottom line is anything that's OBD1, not OBD2, which would be like my new Ford truck, is OBD1. So it's a fairly basic computer. The odds are that it will, there's about a 90+% chance it'll start. 91. Awesome. Yeah, anything before 96. 96 and above is going to be OBD2. It's going to be much more complicated computer-wise. So, yeah, I mean, you don't have to have a vehicle with points, but it certainly doesn't hurt, but it's not necessary. Look, again, 18% of vehicles will fail in a big solar flare or a big EMP attack. So 18%, think about this. If you live out in the suburbs somewhere and you're out in the middle of nowhere or in a small town, if 18%, okay, so you got 100 cars, 20 of them don't start, or 20 of them actually coast to a stop after the event and absolutely refuse to work. They don't operate. You go around them. That's it. Now, if you're on a freeway, bumper to bumper, with 350,000 other vehicles, and 20% of them come to a grinding halt, you're fucked. It is instantly gridlock. You're not going anywhere. So, do you have water in your car? Do you have a backpack? Do you know how to get home from wherever you are? Do you own an actual map? Like a map. You have a map of your area. Do you have a place that you would go if the shit hit the fan and you just wanted to get out of town? Does anybody have any of that stuff? Because if you don't, that's literally why I wrote this. Now, do you want dental floss? Yes. You want a lot of dental floss. Why? Why dental floss? Well, first of all, you don't want it to be mint dental floss. It has to be unflavored dental floss. And the reason is dental floss makes fantastic sutures. Yeah, that's right. You can sew people up with it. And on top of that, it's extremely good for binding things. It's very thin, but it's extremely strong. A lot stronger than just a little piece of thread. So if you have to sew a tarp, you don't want to sew a tarp up with thread. The thread will literally cut through the tarp. So little things like that, I mean, obviously I tell people, look, have duct tape. Now, should you have just good old fashioned, silver duct tape? No, that shit's worthless. That is worthless. Should you have Gorilla Tape or something like that? T-Rex, that's another brand. Yeah. Is it expensive? Not really. It's probably $8 to $10 for a big roll of it. What could you do with a big roll of it? A lot. You could do everything from slapping it on your arm if you have a big gash on your arm and you need to keep moving, to slapping it on the side of your tent because you realized a little bit too late that your tent has a leak in it and now it's starting to pour. Little shit like that. Yeah, paracord, I mean, it's okay. It's worth having a little bit of, but I think a lot of people think that paracord is like the answer to every question. So, and it's little shit like that. Like this is literally why I wrote this, because there are things in here that we talk about that it's, I mean, look, if you're a survivalist, oh, by the way, farmer, don't do that. Don't. I have. I needed stitches in my shin, and it was deep. It went all the way to the bone, and it was a couple inches long. It's kind of embarrassing how I got it, but the bottom line is that it was bleeding a lot. And I decided that it was late. I'd had a couple, and I just wasn't in the mood to have my now ex-wife take me to the hospital. So I cleaned it up and slapped a good amount of super glue in there, squeezed it shut, and it held for about 12 hours. And then that was it. Yeah, at that point, not only did the wound open up again, but on top of opening up, one half of it was completely coated with this really crunchy, thick shit that meant that they had to go in and cut that part. So when I heard that, I said, no, I got this. And I just left the wound open, which of course, again, everybody said, you can't leave the wound open like that. And I said, yes, I can. So I just, kept stuffing Neosporin in it. Neosporin and duct tape is amazing, but for anything that has to do with your hands or your feet, you need to have a roll of electrical tape. Why electrical tape? Because it bends. Duct tape does not bend. It's a little shit like this. This is the kind of stuff that you need. Use Bondo. Jeez. I'm glad I wrote that book. So, by the way, if you're wondering, oh, okay, well, now that he's got the book, how do I get the book? Right there. If you go to my channel, my page, and you see this, you'll see something that says How Tube. If you click on it, it'll take you right to the book. Boom. And you can buy it. And when you see the price, don't be shocked. I'm just not greedy. That's all. And yeah, there are a lot of other books out there that are between $50 and $100. Now, is this worth $100? I don't know. It's hard for me to say because I had $100 and I like the idea. Oh, by the way, if you've already purchased the book, or you purchased the book, why didn't you use dental floss? Very funny. Yeah, no thanks. The idea of stitching myself up, that doesn't sound fun. I mean, I would if I had to, but that's, fucking let Rambo do that crap. But here's the thing. With all the stuff that's in here, some of it is completely irrelevant, like totally irrelevant. You would never use this. Gunsmithing. And of course, they're talking about 6-shooters. So what to do with the casings. So there's a lot of stuff in here that's not specific for what we would need. However, there's some good stuff in there. So I went ahead and bought it. I've purchased, just so you know, I've spent thousands of dollars so far buying other people's survival books. So every time you see a Navy SEAL wrote a book about survival, I've probably read it, and it probably sucked for the average civilian. I don't think anybody that claims to be Delta Force has written a book yet. Thank you, God, because their book would be even worse for you, because Delta guys are in a completely separate category all by themselves. They're not Navy SEALs. They are something other. I've got friends that are former Delta, and they're different. The kind of training that they do is as much mental as it is physical, and it's wild. So their advice to you is shit, because you'll never survive the first 24 hours of what they expect you to be able to do. Their expectations of what you are going to do to survive are just not that reasonable. Preparation H. Yeah, I suppose that if the grid goes down and you have hemorrhoids, you should probably think about it. Or if you're a supermodel and you feel like your eyes are a little puffy, yep, I heard about that trick. I know you're going through it. That's funny. Let's see. Why not use witch hazel instead of what? Men That Stare at Goats. Boy, that sure pissed me off. That movie really pissed me off. They did not take that shit seriously. Just drinking a little Diet Coke, or not Diet Coke, Coke Zero, or I don't know, sugar, whatever it is. It tastes more like Coke than the other crap. The crap that tastes like chemicals and gives you a headache as soon as you drink it. Yeah, I can't drink that. Yeah, the Men That Stare at Goats really pissed me off. Deep contusions and deep cuts. Is that for the witch hazel? That's weird. How about those of us who purchased the book already? How do we get it? It's a very good question. I was hoping that you'd come over, hang out for dinner, and I'll just give it to you. But if you're not in the state of Arizona, I know that's a lot of gas. So I will just mail it to you tomorrow. Yeah, I just got these Friday. So I have been looking at them, and I have been going through them and rereading. There was only one mistake made in the book that I could find, and it was that I highlighted something, but the highlight turned out to not be a highlight. See, it was, when they printed it, it was black. It's like, what? So, and just to bring you guys up to speed on what it was, so that there's nobody in the dark about this, it says, and I quote, "If you have a hay box," and then in parentheses, I wrote, "an insulated box used for finishing the process of slow cooking without the need for additional heat." That's a hay box. Now, the reason I brought this up is because it's little things like when they talk to you in a lot of these books about what types of meals to have and what to prepare for. As far as, I'll give you an example. Look, Jamaican style jerk rice and beans with chicken. 310 calories per serving, 2 servings. So you got 600 calories in here, and it's going to be pretty tasty. Okay, so here's what you do. You go ahead and you pour yourself some boiling water in here, and then it's got a little seal thing that you can seal up after you tear the very top off. You can seal the middle part, and you just set it aside. Okay, awesome. Now, my life is going to be so good when I open this up. Except if there's a breeze, all those amazing Jamaican spices are going to fill my whole fucking neighborhood with the smell of this chicken. Now, right now, tonight, as I look out across the vast expanse of North Phoenix, I'm sure, and by the way, this is one of the things I love the most about a motorcycle, because you don't get this in a car. But as you're cruising around in neighborhoods and on your way to the store and whatnot, you're moving through your little subdivision, you pick up all the smells. So if you're heading for the store and it's 7:00, you smell everybody's barbecue. It's like, oh, fucking Kansas style. Love that stuff. Oh, that's a Santa Maria style tri-tip right there, baby. Oh, yeah. I can tell the difference. So You get to smell everybody's cooking on your way to the store. That's just me because I got a really good sniffer. People who haven't eaten in 4 or 5 days, people who are watching their children go without food for 4 or 5 days, there's going to be absolutely zero sound. There won't be any sound. The people who have left have left. The people who are stranded are stranded. There's no gas. There's no going anywhere. You're either there or you're not. At that point, it will be utterly silent. Maybe dogs barking in the distance. That's about it. The other thing will be there are only two smells, one of which you don't ever want to smell because it will be coming from a lot of people who didn't make it, who are still in their house. Hopefully not in their front yard or in their backyard, because then they'll smell even worse. But the other thing that you'll pick up is you'll pick up this smell for a mile. So if you are downwind of somebody who's cooking, you will literally go, oh my God, what is that? Somebody's cooking. Well, that means somebody's got food. And what are you willing to do to get that food? Well, that's obvious. So we don't cook unless we absolutely have to. Now, when do we cook? How do we cook? What do we cook? First of all, rice and beans can be soaked for quite a long time in warm water in order to soften them up so that the actual cooking process is very, very quick. On top of that, they don't need to be seasoned ahead of time. Look, if you're doing the whole, chef thing and you're going to go to, Cordon Bleu in France and take courses, God bless you. This is not that. This is no longer food is fun. Ooh, we should have a food. This is food is fuel for survival, period. That's it. Now, does that mean that it's got to taste shitty? No. Oh, wait a minute. Hey, look, another one of my books. A pinch of this stuff after it's cooked, right before you eat it, will make it taste delicious. Now, again, this, you're not going to want to eat this. Let me put it to you this way. If you've ever gone backpacking, if you've ever gone way out, and I mean, we're talking 50 miles out in the middle of nowhere, 100 miles out from the nearest city in the mountains, then you know that when you're done with your food, you don't leave it in the middle of your campsite. Unless, of course, you want some very, very scary visitors in the middle of the night. You hang that shit from a bear bag on a tree somewhere at least 300-400 meters away from your camp. Personally, I feel better with the idea of a quarter of a mile or more. I just don't, look, what's the point? Why would you, and especially if you're somewhere in the northern part of the United States where there could be grizzly bears, you don't want to tangle with it. What is in your hand? Ouch. Bullion. Chicken. No, I have beef. I have vegetable, but I don't know. I don't know about that. The windmill water pump. I think you're getting ahead of us here. See, the idea is the first book, this one. This one is, let's get you to survive this. Let's get you to the point where you're 6 months, 7 months in. Scouting Bob, see, now that is a rookie mistake. That's the kind of shit that somebody that is a SEAL would tell you. Oh, make sure you've got your pew-pew. Guess what? If you use a pew-pew, you're now the target. Oh, you might dispatch a bear, but everybody within between 5 and 10 miles, depending on the acoustics of the canyons you're in, knows that there's somebody else there. Now, if they're going to hunt you down, hey, they need food just like you do. So you're either going to get lucky and you're going to meet somebody who's a really cool guy like me. And I'm going to say, hey, man, we're better off together. That way, we got each other's six. But there's a just as good a chance that you're going to meet somebody who decides to put one in you from a few hundred meters away and take everything you have. Good, bring it. Boy. Well, good luck, Bob, because you're going to fucking need it. See, the idea here is if you can help starting a firefight, because the reality is that winning a firefight, winning a gun battle, you might not, but you win 100% of the gunfights that you don't get in. You walk away from those always, because if you're not in one, you're doing better. Yeah, absolutely. Look, the idea is to be quiet. Well, if what I'm talking about happens, there won't be any satellites. Period. None. No. If I go to Ukraine, it's for one thing and one thing only. A beautiful 6 foot tall blonde with a PhD, and really, I don't give a fuck what. I don't care. But if she's smart enough to get a PhD, then she's smarter than I am, and that's exactly what God wants for me. I can tell. Yeah. I mean, being quiet is the key, man. Look, if you first of all get what's in this book, if you get what's in here, which is easy to do because you just buy the damn book. Once you get what's in the book, you have the first year, which is by far the most dangerous, most difficult part of this. The first year is where the shit really hits the fan. And all of what was his name? That son of a bitch, Secretary of State Kissinger, when he referred to all of us as the useless eaters. There are, in this country right now, a lot of useless eaters. Now, the good news is that those useless eaters will burn themselves out. The people who will do the best initially in the first few months will be people like gangbangers, because they will kill you and they have no qualms about it. They kill people all the time anyway, just because. So that is definitely an issue. However, because of the extraordinarily low IQ that those people have, they will turn on each other almost immediately over things like respect. Well, he disrespected me. She disrespected me. So I had to put a cap in her. Okay, well, good for you. Well, you can't have smoke. There's no smoke. Look, you don't cook like that. That's not how you do it. If you can't cook, say, rice and beans raw and then add a little flavoring to them, then you better understand your surroundings. Like, you better have, and this is really the key, you better have a support group. People that live on ranches, they know all the other people that live on all the ranches around them. That's just a fact, It's not always like Yosemite where they're always fighting with everybody. That's really not the case. There's a lot of people who grow up, live their entire lives, and die in places like Montana, Wyoming, North and South Dakota, and they never get in a fucking fist fight in their whole lives. They might not raise their voice at anybody in their entire lives. Those would be some really good people to have around. Level-headed, kind people. How do you cook raw? Well, obviously, you've got to be naked first. Why do you ask dumb questions like that, Polly? Okay. Look, and if you really want to show how manly you are, I do this all the time. Cook bacon naked. Yeah, yeah, it hurts, but you know what? I learned from it somehow. Yeah. Bottom line is you soak the beans first. You soak the rice first. Once you soak them in warm water, then it doesn't take long to actually cook them. Once you cook them, and a pressure cooker is a great idea, get a pressure cooker. Once you pressure cook them and they cool back down, take the lid off. There's always going to be a little bit of a smell, but it's not going to be a lot. You know, once that happens, then take it out, put it in a bowl, sprinkle a little this on there, put a little cayenne pepper or whatever. Make it good, make it taste decent. Yeah. Now I will say this. I have actually cooked bacon topless just because I was too lazy to actually put a shirt on, but I did pay for that. Oh yeah, absolutely. The bacon's never tasted better. Yeah. When you literally get burned because you're making it, it's the fight, you know? Um, yeah, I mean, bottom line is there are Sunday mornings where I'm like, fuck it. Yeah, I'm in my boxers, and this is probably going to be something I regret, but it's going in the pan. By the way, if you have fatty enough hamburger seems to even be worse. I mean, my God. Of course, I do make 2-pound hamburgers. Uh, Actually, yes. Omar, he's teaching his son now, and hopefully he'll be as good at it as his daddy. Bacon grease hitting the bean bag. No, it's not fun. That's funny. Um, oh no, that was yesterday. That was 4th of July. And no. Look, if I had to run into their house and drag people out and do mouth to mouth and all that, it's okay. Now you're starting to slide into sort of the hero column a little bit. All I did was just help put out their house. It was on fire because somebody threw something away that they shouldn't have. And that's the thing. Whatever it was, the husband and the wife just looked at each other and they were both like, I don't know what it was. It's like, you don't know what you threw in your trash can that lit the whole fucking side of your house on fire. All right. But yeah, it was going. It was really engulfed. Another, if I hadn't gotten there with the guy who helped me, right when we did, if it had waited for the fire department, because the fire department was only maybe 5 minutes behind us, but that extra 5 minutes, fully engulfed like that, would have been much worse, a lot worse, because we had knocked it down completely with the hose. And then when they got there, we stopped at the hose. They hit us with their fire hose, which was not pleasant. But when I looked up, I saw smoke coming out from underneath the eaves, and that's when I realized, like, oh shit. And we told the fire guys, we were like, dude, it's in the attic. It's still going. It's up in the attic. So, but I drove by today, and hey, it's the house. The good news is inside the garage looks terrible. They had to rip the whole ceiling down, insulation and all. But the house itself, still standing. It's still in one piece. Thank God, because it was a young guy and his wife and his like, little 2-year-old son. I felt bad for him, man. What a shitty way to start 4th of July, That's not how you want to do 4th. I still recommend red quinoa. Yeah, but if you eat red quinoa, you start voting for people like Mamdani. Red quinoa will actually make your penis shrink by 40%. Your voice will actually go up 2 octaves. And you'll start saying things like, I feel really bad about living here because you know that we took this beautiful land from people who were already living here and they were really nice people. And I just hate myself for being a colonizer. And the color of my skin drives me fucking crazy. I can't stand it. Being white all the time. Just, God, I wish I were black and oppressed just a little. Yeah, whatever. So much. Yeah, somebody, I mean, look, somebody threw something that was apparently above Fahrenheit 451. That's all I know. They took it from one another. Well, not only did they take it from one another, but then they took sex slaves. That's what they used the little children for. They killed everybody else in horrible ways. And in a lot of the tribes, especially in the East Coast, they ate each other. I'm going to say that again. They ate each other. Okay, well then, I don't know about you, but at that point, I start to question how I would have handled that situation. That's funny. Well, I mean, human sacrifice. I mean, who hasn't done that? It's, I mean, really, it depends on the human. Am I right? But aside from that, yeah, eating each other, that's where I draw the line, man. Look, if you're going to cut somebody's heart out because you think it's actually going to make the rain fall a little more that year, that month, or whatever, oh, and there's a drought. I mean, come on, let's take this shit seriously. Then yes, okay, that makes sense. Especially if it's somebody nobody likes. You know that guy? You know, that weird uncle that everybody says don't sit on his lap at the picnic? That guy. Fuck it. Cut his heart out. Unless if God really actually thinks about that and he's like, oh yeah, that sacrifice really didn't mean much. That's why the ancient Jews sacrificed their children. Ugh. To Amalek. No, that's not true. Amalek. What am I thinking? Wasn't Baal. Son of a bitch. Move like you're. I mean, interesting. Moloch. Was it Moloch? I think it was Moloch. You can't say that you're racist. Yeah. You can't say anything without being racist anymore. That's the funny part. Literally, what can you say without sounding racist? It's a strange thing. I couldn't help but notice that there were some black youths that attacked a white female cop in North Carolina at a party. They were just in the process of beating the shit out of her when the other police showed up to save her. And I thought, wow, that's really disrespectful. It's like, did you say they were black teens? Why would you say they're black? Because they were black. Yeah, but why would you point that out? Because 4% of the population and they commit 78% of all violent crimes. Oh, that is some racist shit right there. That's not okay. So one of my guys on, yes, a youth teen takeover. It was actually a party that had a permit. That was the sad part. By the way, the same guy who suggested that if the shit hits the fan and civilization ends, you should get yourself some red quinoa, I believe is how it's pronounced. He also suggested that you have that with arugula, which I'm pretty sure is exactly what Barack Obama would have said. That's just weird. Anyway, if it's true, say it. No. Are you kidding me? You can't say something just because it's true. The hell are you thinking? Oh, yeah, it's true, so I can say it. No, you will get canceled. Although at this point, I don't care. I just don't care. And the reason I don't care is because after watching what's going on in the world, as long as I have, I'm just done. What if the boondockers come to your bag out land? Okay, I'm going to assume that that was bug out land. Boondockers come to your bug out land. Huh. Not even sure what that means. I was trying like hell to answer that, but a lot of shit because it's not true. Trump says a lot of shit because it's not true. Yeah, that he's a politician. And I know you're thinking, hey, why would you believe a politician? Yeah, that's on me. Yeah, and I do feel stupid. I feel dumb. Because if time has taught us anything, it's that all politicians, except for Thomas Massie, and maybe Ro Khanna, and maybe Tim Burchett, and perhaps Rand Paul. Other than them, oh wait, who was it? Luna. What's the one who's doing the MK Ultra hearings right now? I like her too. Trump is full of shit. Well, that is, yeah. 24,000 lies in his first 4 years. I think that would mean that every word out of his mouth pretty much would be a lie. Yeah. Well, the thing is that I will admit that I really thought he was going to be pissed. He was going to be much better educated about how to drain the swamp, and that the people that had shit on him in the first go round were really going to pay. And that this time around, he was going to be like, okay, you guys got one over on me. Hope you had a good time. Because now I've had 4 years to study who fucked me. And I'm giving it right back to you. But what actually it turned out to be is, okay, I'm a lot more well seasoned now in my second go around. And I realized that you need to grab every opportunity for every bit of power, influence, and money that you possibly can. And if you steal $100 billion and then you're convicted later, you may have to give back 10, but you get to keep the 90. So steal as much as you can. Steal as much as you possibly can. And the idea that Jared Kushner would be somebody who goes overseas to negotiate on behalf of the United States, on behalf of my country. You grew up with Netanyahu as your daddy's best friend. Your dad did the most diabolical shit I've ever seen when it came to all of the stuff that got him sent to prison. He got out of prison and he still somehow became the ambassador to another country, I believe France. And you're his son, which means that you were taught that no matter what you do, if you have enough power, influence, and money, you will get away with it. Wow. You should go negotiate for the United States. What could possibly go wrong? You know what I mean? Although, it's starting to turn. It's starting to turn. And I get it. Israel's got something up their sleeve that nobody else has. And that is, we will fucking light these nukes off ourselves if we have to. Like, you guys either help us accomplish what we want to do your way with your military might, or we'll just start lighting off nukes and we'll make sure that nobody walks away from this. Like, nobody ever survives this. What? That's not okay. But that is exactly the way they're doing it. That's the way they've always done it. That's why getting nukes was so important to them so early on. Because once they have nukes, they can threaten everybody. I'm actually looking at it right now. It's 62. So, it's exactly where it was last week. It's not doing a hell of a lot, which is fine. With all the uncertainty going on in the Middle East right now, if it's not dropping like a rock, that makes me feel good. And let's see. I'm going to go full chart here and look at the technicals for you guys. Do I have the 200-day moving average up? What is going on here? Okay. There we go. There. That makes me feel better. Okay. So we're in a buy right now. Where is, son of a bitch, which one of these is my 100-day moving average? I believe that's my white line. Okay. So my white line. Whoa. What? Are we that far below the 100-day moving average? 62.40. Okay, so the moving average is 62.46. We're at 61.87, which means we're below it. That makes me a little nervous. But again, when people say, hey, look, I really want to buy, but I want to buy at the absolute bottom. I have literally been saying this since 1987, 88. And it's never been more or less true than it was then and is now. Bulls make money. Bears make money. And pigs get slaughtered. Make your money, get in, get out. That's it. Don't try to be that person who says, oh yeah, when it hit the very top, that's when I sold. When it got to the very bottom, that's when I bought. The odds of being able to actually say that, if anybody ever says that to you, there's a very real chance that they're lying. Buy low, sell high. Or in the case of silver, buy low and don't sell it. What are you going to sell it and replace it with? Silver up for solar. With oil, I tie up. I'm racking my brain trying to figure out what the hell that means. I'm trying to get my book. Sand, you're the man. You're the Sandman. I wish that joke hadn't written itself, but it did. So right there, wait, there. You go there, it says how to. You click on how to, click on that little link, and it'll take you straight over to how to. I think I might stop and say, hey, are you sure you want to leave this absolutely amazing app? And you say, yes. Not up with oil tie up. Oy. I was so high. That's a genius. Is it everybody that's trying to write to me that is not able to write to me? Because Michael has been drinking some strong drink. Okay, now that's actually in English. I totally appreciate that. Buy low, sell high. That's a genius. Yes, yes. It's a very clever way to make money. All right, so now you can also, if you want, sell high and then buy low. A lot of people, they don't understand that. A lot of people don't understand that you can first sell high and then buy it low. That is called shorting the market. And there's a lot of money to be made in shorting. It's actually the fastest way to make money. But that is not the same kind of investing we're talking about here. Yes, it is supply and demand. Now, the type of investment we're talking about here is, hey, I've only got X amount of money to my name and I don't want to lose any of it. But if possible, I would like to make some. Okay, great. Well, over the last 25 years, silver has gone up 1,620%. Good enough? Yeah. Now, has the stock market gone up that much? I don't know if the Dow has gone up that much or not. Who's investing in Beanie Babies? Well, I'm sure a lot of people did. Can I pay anybody's rent? Boy, that's not a scam, James. You don't smell like a total dirt bag. Hey, man, can I pay your rent? You should come and live with me and I'll pay your rent. It's not going to be weird or nothing like that. I just want a friend. Have you ever been tied up? Not that I would tie you up. You should see my basement. It's so cool. It's like the Lego movie. Yeah, thanks. Isn't silver volatile? No. If it goes hyperbolic and just completely off the chart, then yes, you need to worry about it coming back down. But if you look over the last, I don't know, 50 years, no, it just keeps going up and up and up and up. And it's amazing because when we think about it keeping up with inflation, it does not keep up with inflation. It absolutely crushes inflation. Silver and gold, precious metals are the safest investment, period. Like, there are people, gold's great. Gold is fantastic. However, it just doesn't move as much. So, for instance, in the 70s, gold did go up by 600%. Silver went up by 700%, which is the way it is. Well, that's because dividends are for idiots. Yeah, you heard me. Well, I'd rather make 200% over 25 years. Oh, I'd make 1,600%. Yeah, but you didn't get that $45 check. Okay, yeah, good luck with that. So you get your $45 every quarter, and I'll take the fact that, I don't know, I could have bought a house with 13,000 ounces of silver in 75, and now I can buy one for 8,400 ounces of silver, brand new, even though the price is 420,000. What? Yeah, well, I didn't get paid a dividend though, but everything in my entire life went down in cost by 30%. Oh, banana, that's so cute. You did it. Past tense? You mean back when General Motors wasn't a huge fucking failure? That's smart. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Look, I'm sure that my great great grandpappy probably could have bought, Wells Fargo stock for dirt cheap too. Can't push the right button to get my book. I don't know how that. I mean, I tested it myself. I just went to my page on TikTok and said, "Okay, what's this?" Doink, and I hit it, and then it took me over to how to. Hmm. Well, that sucks, but we'll figure it out. You got my number. You can text me. We'll figure out how to do it. Just give me a call tomorrow or text me tomorrow, and I'll make sure we get you one. Can't do Beavis because I don't even remember what Beavis sounds like. That's how long it's been. Independence Day sale. It's a little late. Yeah, so right now we're just cruising along. We're up. Apparently, we're up by 1.3% on silver today. Something doesn't feel right about that though, but that's what the numbers say. 4 cents a share and bought Kmart. Well, I hope you're enjoying your retirement. All 28 minutes of it. John Deere stock might get buyout Kubota. John Deere might buy out Kubota. Well, look, man, there's a lot of shit going on around the world as far as construction, and that's what John Deere does best. They make some big ass machines for big ass construction, and Kubota is a fantastic company. I don't know why they would be willing to bow down to John Deere. It seems like it would be the other way around, but yeah, whatever. Hey, either one. They're both great vehicles. I would say that now that I think about it, probably had more issues with Kubota. Although now that I'm thinking about it, John Deere, they just switched all their new stuff over to software that you have to take it to John Deere. You have to take it to them. There's no independent mechanics for John Deere anymore. Which means that if you're in the middle of planting or harvesting and one of your machines goes down, I just saw something about this. There was a guy who waited something like 6 weeks for his John Deere to get fixed, and it was, I forget what, I think it was a big, huge, multi-million-dollar combine. But he said basically they screwed him. They totally screwed him because they just didn't have enough people. Okay, Kubota trying to buy John Deere. Yeah, well, John Deere should be in trouble. They fucked up, you know. They should lose because their whole model of we're gonna sell you a tractor and then we're gonna enslave you. Come on, man. When was that? Like, when did that become capitalism? That is bullshit. If that's not a dictatorship, I don't know what is. It's like these people just don't understand. Yeah, Ford. I mean, I think that what they're doing with the facial recognition software. Look, the they're attacking from so many fronts right now. It's hard to imagine what's going on with the NDAA National Defense Authorization Act. I want to say that it's Section 619 still says that we will absolutely join all of our intelligence agencies with Israel permanently. That Israel and the United States will have the same agency. That it will be 100% everything shared. President can't stop it. Nobody can do anything about it. And it's in the NDAA. Fucking unbelievable. Like, are you kidding me? These are the same people who right now in the United Nations are being called genocidal. They want us to give up our sovereignty as a nation. It's like, okay, Trump, you're talking a lot of shit about, 250 years, greatest country on earth, blah, blah, blah. Act like it. That's all. Just act like it. Act like we're a sovereign nation, because the more time goes on and the more genocidal and insane those people prove themselves to be towards the entire world, the more I wonder, how could this possibly have gotten as far as it has? The National Defense Authorization Act is just rubber stamped every year. Just everybody says, yep, okay, pass it. Yep. Nobody says no to defense contractors, ever. You just don't. It's a rule. Okay, so we've got this NDAA, we've got this Defense Act. It's going to go through, it's going to get passed, just like always, except, well, let's find out. What does Section 619 of the NDAA say? Let's see. Okay, that is not it. All right, let's try a different part. What part of the NDAA deals with Israeli intelligence services? Oh, shit. 219, not 619. All right, so it says here, provisions dealing with the United States, Israel intelligence and defense technology cooperation are primarily centered in Section 224, also designated as Section 229 in some draft stages, hiding it. In this provision, known as the United States-Israel Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative, directs the Department of Defense to appoint a senior executive agent to integrate Israel defense technologies directly into sensitive U.S. weapons systems. This includes collaboration in such areas as artificial intelligence, cyber capabilities, autonomous systems, quantum computing, and missile defense. Additionally, expanded intelligence sharing mandates and limitations on the president's power to reduce that intelligence sharing are tied to Section 622 of the draft Senate Intelligence Authorization legislation, a different bill that's also working its way through Congress, which also gives the Israelis 100% access to everything we've built. What could possibly go wrong? No, as a matter of fact, Russia and Israel really don't get along at all. They are very unfriendly. No, I haven't. But, at this point, a Michigan crazy woman and her dreams, that doesn't scare me. This shit's working its way through Congress right now. Right this minute. They are getting ready to vote to give away our sovereignty as a nation to Israel. Israel will be inside our Pentagon. 100%. They will be inside the NSA, the CIA, the National Reconnaissance Office, the FBI. Everything that we think makes us American, Israel will be inside of it 100%. Now, with the amount of influence they have over our government already, what happens when they can see inside of everything that we know? Did I hear about Ireland? Oh, another person getting killed? I'm sure. I'm sure somebody got killed in Ireland, right? Yeah, Putin is not friendly with the Israelis at all. That's not something that and again, when you look at the the communists and the entire Bolshevik revolution, it's like, okay, who were the Bolsheviks, and what what made them decide that they wanted to kill 60 million Christians? Because in the Bolshevik Revolution, over the course of 50 years, that's how many Christians were killed. All of their property was taken. By whom? Well, you can imagine. That's the crazy part. And of course, now we're in this situation where we've got people on one side who are trying to work their way into our inner sanctum of our government so that they can then take over the United States. And at the exact same time, you've got people on the other end of the spectrum in Islam saying, see, we're not the crazy people. You guys thought we were bad, but we're not bad. We're great. Is that so? Because I'm pretty sure your attitude is convert or die. And their attitude is just die. Don't convert. We don't want you. If you're not one of us already, you're never going to be. That's it. Oh, okay. Well, that's scary, because we've got two religions that bookend our religion, and both of them are just full of hate. Yeah, that's true. And now they want to own our defense. And they already own our government. That's obvious. Literally, nothing happens in Washington without Israel's consent. As we're celebrating our 250th anniversary, it's like, man, I can't imagine what our founding fathers would have said about this. They would have been absolutely stunned. Yeah, it is messed up. That is very messed up. And, Mark Levin said it best. He said that, did he say that Trump is our first Jewish president? Did Mark Levin call Trump our first Jewish president? Yes. Yep. He publicly referred to him as the first Jewish president. And that was at a Hanukkah event. 6 years ago, I was up here and I said, this is our first Jewish president. It's true. Now he's the first Jewish president to serve not two consecutive presidencies. It's true. Wow. Well, unfortunately, Obama really doesn't matter to them anymore. Mark Levin is, yeah, that's a joke, right? Like, Mark Levin literally said that if it weren't for Israel, the United States wouldn't exist. what? What planet did you just fall off of? Because that's nutty. Like that is some nutty, nutty shit right there. Yeah. Yep, he said that. Yep, he sure did. But um, when did Mark Levin say if it weren't for Israel, the United States wouldn't exist? Here it is. Without us. Okay, well, no, that's Trump. Um, God, if it weren't for me, I love it. Donald Trump has got such a tiny little ego, right? Oh, was that Huckabee that said that? You never heard him say it. Jesus Christ, you listen to Mark Levin? Are you out of your mind? Who can listen to that guy? He is just one boiling, seething, hateful little man who just hates everything, hates everybody. And he's just, oh, God. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it is definitely Israel first. There's no question about that. All right. Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah. Mark Levin did not make the statement. The quote, if it weren't for Israel, the United States wouldn't exist, is actually attributed to U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee. Maybe I heard him repeat it. I don't. I just remember when I heard him say it, I was like, "What?" Maybe he was just repeating it. Oh, I'm sure. Of course, Levin believes that. Mark Levin is just absolutely foaming at the mouth, completely insane. You knew he didn't say that, huh? Well, that's amazing because you know damn well he believes it. I mean, this guy is what's that? What's that little twerpy dude's name? I don't follow anybody. That's your problem. Stop following. You have nobody to follow, brother. If you're following somebody, you're being led. You know that ramp that you're going up? You know that door? It's dark inside, right? Yeah. That's because nobody comes out of that place alive. You're being led to slaughter, just like everybody else that's a follower. You can't be a follower anymore. Wake up, pull your head out. Be in charge of your own destiny there, buddy, because the idea that you would listen to Mark Levin, that's just crazy. That's just insane. Like, nobody listens to Mark Levin. Well, that's not true. If you're 80 years old and you're a really like confused boomer, then yeah, you listen to him. Unfortunately, that's pretty much all that listens to him anymore is just really old people who are super, super confused about what's really going on. You know, they listen to Walter Cronkite growing up, and that's it. You don't do your own research. You do not do your own research. You can't lie to me. You cannot lie to me. I guarantee you, if we sat down for 2 hours, you would either really, really want to throw yourself into a very deep hole, or you would agree with me completely. I actually do my homework, lots of it. So good luck with that. And by the way, if I had $1 for every idiot who's gotten on here and said, "Oh, you need to do more homework," yeah, well, that's what I do until about 3 a.m. every morning. Sound goofy, huh? Yeah, because, you don't want to criticize Israel. They're the good guys. As a matter of fact, God said that if we don't kiss their ass and give them billions of dollars every year and then go to war with Iran for them, we're going to go to hell. All of us. Everybody. You know what's funny? I'm not sure, Jules. I'm not sure that Levin is bought by Israel or if he just, I mean, look, nobody bought me when I was in the Marine Corps. I volunteered for the Marine Corps because I wanted to go kill bad guys. I wanted to defend my country. Now, the question is, if Israel is his country and Judaism is his religion, and that's all there is to it, then why is he in my country? Why is he preaching all that bullshit to people like me? I don't want to hear it. Look, I don't believe a word he says anymore. He's lied over. We're a week away. We're a week away from getting a nuke in Iran. Did you know that they actually said that? I swear to God, they just said that again. They just said that it's literally a major, major concern. And not just nuclear, by the way. Thermonuclear. Oh, yeah. It's not an A bomb, baby. It's an H bomb. Yeah, way higher up in the food chain. For Democrats, that's funny. If you had any idea how most Democrats feel about me, you'd probably punch yourself in the face right now. Go ahead. You've got my permission. But the bottom line is that, like I said, after being in the Marine Corps and after living through a lot of bullshit from our government, I don't believe anybody. So if you're a Democrat, you're an idiot. If you're a Republican, you're an idiot. You just don't realize that you're getting screwed by both sides equally. I've just been following you. Well, good. I appreciate that. But yeah, don't expect me to take sides and go, hey, man, Republicans, they really are. Look, what's a Republican? What does that mean anymore? What does it mean to be a Republican? What does it mean to be a Democrat? Can you believe I just got a violation for bullying and harassing the Democrats and Republicans? That's nuts. Project 2025. After all the support America has given Israel, we have a friend and ally called India. Well, it would be nice if we actually treated them like a friend who sits and listens to someone for an hour when they think they are goofy. Trolls, people that are pissed, guys who don't have a life, who are sucking down a six-pack and looking for reasons to get mad. I'll give him plenty. Use the I word, you bully. Wait, what's the I word? Use the I word. Oh, yeah. Got it. If you actually think that Project 2025 is real, then you probably believe that the Green New Deal was real too. Are aliens real? Well, it's a good question. I don't know. The only aliens that I actually personally know are Mexican aliens. And I kind of like them. I think they're kind of cool. U.S. used a directed energy weapon on Venezuela. I don't think we really needed to. I mean, Venezuela, really? It's like saying, well, do you think the Marine Corps used a directed energy weapon against Taco Bell? No, they probably didn't need to. I mean, unfortunately for Venezuela, they just don't have a lot of military. And I know that the military that was there was Cuban, but like, what is that supposed to impress me? Oh shit, Cubans. It's like, you know, it's a tiny country. They didn't know how to defend themselves. And yeah, we walked in, snagged their president, and now we're going to make them suffer because I don't know, I guess because Chavez was a dick and Maduro said, hey, I'm going to keep doing what Chavez did. And we were like, okay, well, if you're going to do what that other guy did, then you're not doing what we want you to. Our relations with Venezuela were outstanding for a long time. And then when we gave them a directive, something that we told them to do or else, and Chavez said no, well, that's when things got ugly. Because in the world today, for the last 100 years, you either do what you're told or the United States sends in the jackals and they kill you. You're referring to the earthquake. Well, it sucks what happened. The odds of two earthquakes that strong coming side by side within 45 seconds. Jesus. And I watched, I hate to bring this up, but it's verifiable. It's easy to verify. The problem is that when they built all of those high rises, they asked China to do it. They had Chinese contractors come in, and China can't build anything. That's why when people say, oh, China could, they could take over the world. Really, that's funny. Have you seen what their buildings look like? Because the ones that all collapsed, that was all Chinese built. Yup. Why don't we take over Israel? Because Israel's already taken over us. It's a little late. And by the way, they have nukes and they will absolutely use them. How do I know that? Because the Haredi are absolutely, completely, and 100% insane. Study their religion. It's not Judaism. It's something, I don't know. I mean, if it were me, if you had to, like, if you said, look, you have to tell me exactly what you think it is right now. Demonology. It's the only thing I can think of. It's the only thing that makes sense to me. It's the only thing that makes sense. Like, there are so many rules that are so fucked up and weird and they don't make sense. Like the things that you have to do, the things that you can't do, the way that you have to dress, the way that you have to look, the way that you have to talk, the things that you have to believe. It's like, whoa. Well, that's the point. They'll tell you that, if you ask somebody who is Orthodox Jew or ultra-Orthodox Jew, Haredi, Hasidic, and you say, what do you think of Jesus? If they talk to you, which, by the way, there's a very, very good chance if you're not Jewish, they will not fucking speak to you. They won't even talk to you. You don't even count as a human to them. They won't even speak to you. But if they do, they will tell you absolutely, yeah, he's a piece of shit. He's burning in a lake of semen and excrement. Who fucking dreamt that up? What a disgusting combination of things. And he's burning? So it's a boiling lake of those two things? Yeah, that's where he's at. What? Why do Jews say that about Jesus Christ? Because they hate Jesus. They are as anti-Christ as you can possibly get. And the best part is, this is the part that's the most amazing. They're the victims. They are absolutely, all of these Christians running around the world today saying, wow, we got to keep our eyes open, for the apocalypse. I mean, the Antichrist is going to be here. Okay, define Antichrist. Well, somebody who has no humanity. I mean, he hates Christians. Really? Keep going. Well, I mean, they'll do. I guess it's one person, will do everything in his power to destroy people's belief in Jesus Christ. Really? Whoa. Would they promote like all kinds of horrible sinner kind of stuff like porn and alcohol, tobacco? Would they be in charge of like all of those things? Yeah. Would they try to get people to disconnect from one another and not seek companionship on a real deep level anymore? Yeah. Like the way Hollywood portrays it. Yeah, they would. Would they maybe take some of the music that we have, like music that used to be about love and life and struggles and hardships and how people can come together? Would they take that music and would they turn it into, I get to slap a bitch and pour champagne on the floor because nothing matters and you just go take what's yours and everything's yours? Yeah, they would do that. That would be the Antichrist. Okay, well, that's a good talk right there. People who say that Jesus Christ is a demon, that Jesus Christ is absolutely the worst of any person that's ever been born. That is pretty Antichrist. But wait, you can't say Antichrist. Why not? If you're Antichrist, then you are Antichrist. Yeah, but you got to say it differently. Oh, like the Antichrist. Okay, that's different. But Israel is Antichrist. 100%. They tear down churches. They roll over entire villages that are Christian with bulldozers. They literally bomb churches with artillery. We saw it. We watched it. They just destroyed the only ancient Christian village left on earth, a place where the story about Lazarus took place. That village does not exist anymore because Israel destroyed it. There wasn't a single Muslim living in that community, not one. Now, since all of their financial backing for all of their genocide comes from the United States, you would think that since 78% of the population in the United States identifies as Christian, they might go, look, we think these guys are assholes, but let's not tear this one down just for them. Let's just go around it. We'll leave the Christians alone. That'll be good publicity for us. They'll be like, oh, that was so cool. They leveled all of southern Lebanon. They killed thousands of people that were innocent, but at least they left the Christian village alone. Nope, never even occurred to them. Never even occurred to them to for 1 second honor our traditions in this country. Nope. Well, it's going to be very interesting if they get inside of our intelligence community, if they are voted into being part of our military forever. And believe me, I read the intelligence briefing that shows the Senate Intelligence Act. It says very clearly that the president will not have any ability to end that act, to push them back out of our government, unless you can show a clear and present danger to the United States of America. How would you possibly do that without the intelligence community? And they are the intelligence community, so you can't. It's literally impossible. That's where we're at. And if that happens, it's the end. It's the end of the American experiment, period. If you give up your sovereignty to another country, then your country only exists in name. That's it. Well, we're screwed if this goes through, but I don't see anybody picking up the phone other than me. I've called my representative. I've called that jackass in Arkansas, Tim Cotton. Called his office a couple times. Called my representative's office a couple times. If 100,000 people call up and say bullshit, you better not pass this, then that's it. They'll say, okay, all right, just pull that out for now. We'll go back around 6 months. Will we have another fight? Yes, we'll have another fight. If this passes, there are no more fights. Period. If Israel becomes part of the United States defense industry and literally has access to all of our intelligence all the time in real time, then you'll see what all those thousands and thousands of data centers are for. That's all I can tell you. Say shit about Israel and watch what happens next. People are already having the sheriff showing up at their house saying, you made some sort of anti-Semitic comments online. We'd like to talk to you about that. And it's like, what? What the fuck happened? What happened to the First Amendment? Well, that doesn't apply to hate speech. Oh, okay. What about dislike speech? Well, there's no such thing when it comes to Israel. They're our bosses. It's like, oh, really? Yeah, actually they are, because literally hundreds of police departments around the United States send officers to fill in the blank. Israel every year for training. What the fuck are you going to teach our guys in Israel that we don't know here? How to find suspicious looking Arabs? I mean, come on, what are you going to teach? Oh, you're just going to indoctrinate them into how awesome Israel is. Great. So then when they get back here, they're really chomping at the bit because, God forbid, they're stupid Christians who believe that they have to help Israel at all costs. We'll see. We shall see. Me? Well, I plan on finding two things. Number one, a nice chunk of land somewhere fairly remote, and maybe, just maybe, a fairly good sized sailboat too, just in case. It seems like a good time to sail around the world and just see what happens, because things are going to get really weird here. But I might decide to stay. It just depends. Look, if all this shit goes through with the Senate, if they pass these things so that we are no longer the United States, then you have to ask yourself honestly, as a former Marine, I have to ask myself, what next? Like, what am I here for? What am I here for? The experiment's over. It failed, period. The experiment failed. If Israel is that much smarter than the rest of us, if this tiny group of 15 million people worldwide take over the entire world, and if you take over the United States, you take over the world. We all know that. Everybody understands that. If 15 million people end up controlling the other 8 billion, then maybe they're right about themselves. Maybe they are the master race, because that's what they teach. Hell, they teach we're not even humans. So at that point, if they get enough AI and enough robotics, then they can start getting rid of the rest of us because we're just dead weight. But they got to get to AI first. Banana, seriously, you think that there's a difference between those two things in their minds? You don't think that they're the master race in their own minds? Yeah, that's right. They are the master race, which is so ironic considering that we literally, less than 100 years ago, saved their asses from extinction. As my father once said, no good deed goes unpunished. So buy the book, text me if you want some silver, and let's talk tomorrow. You guys have a great night. Yeah, it does suck. It definitely sucks. But, let's see what happens, man. Well, that's all we can do. We can just hang in there and hope for the best, I guess. I mean, Jesus. It's certainly not looking good at this point. But then, there's a part of me that cracks up because it's like Mother Nature has a funny way of always stepping in. Wouldn't that be wild? Wouldn't it be crazy if all of a sudden their nukes didn't work and neither did ours? I'd be okay with that. I would totally be okay with that.